Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope I will be helpful with this information. But please, for all of you that are new in my channel and all of you that are visiting my channel for the first time, please subscribe me and leave a comment in the section below. So, today we're gonna talk about the legendary ancient libraries. Number 1. The Library of Ashurbanipal. The world's oldest known library was founded sometime in the 7th century BC for the royal contemplation of the Assyrian ruler Ashurbanipal. Located in the Nineveh in modern-day Iraq, the site included a trove of some 30,000 cuneiform tablets organized according to subject matter. Most of its titles were archival documents, religious incantations, and scholarly texts, but it also housed several works of literature, including the 4,000-year-old Epic of Gilgamesh. The book-loving Ashurbanipal compiled much of his library by looting works from Babylonia and the other territories he conquered. Archaeologists later stumbled upon its ruins in the mid-19th century, and the majority of its contents are now kept in the British Museum in London. Interestingly, even though Ashurbanipal acquired many of his tablets through plunder, he seems to have been particularly worried about theft. An inspiration is in one of the texts warns that if anyone steals a tablet, the gods will cast him down and erase his name, his seed in the land. Number 2. The Library of Alexandria. Following Alexander the Great's death in 323 BC, control of Egypt fell to his former general Ptolemy I Soter, who sought to establish a center of learning in the city of Alexandria. The result was the Library of Alexandria, which eventually became the intellectual jewel of the ancient world. Little is known about the site's physical layout, but at its peak it may have included over 500,000 papyri scrolls containing works of literature and texts on history, law, mathematics, and science. The library and its associated research institute attracted scholars from around the Mediterranean, many of whom lived on site and drew government stipends while they conducted research and copied its contents. At different times, the likes of Strabo, Euclid, and Archimedes were among the academics on site. The Great Library demise is traditionally dated on the 48 BC, when it supposedly burned after Julius Caesar accidentally set fire to Alexandria's harbor during a battle against the Egyptian ruler Ptolemy XIII. But while the blaze may have damaged the library, most historians now believe that it continued to exist in some form for several more centuries. Some scholars argue that it finally met its end in 270 AD during the reign of the Roman Emperor Aurelian, while others believe that it came even later during the 4th century. Number 3. The Library of Pergamum. Constructed in the 3rd century BC by members of the Attalid dynasty, the Library of Pergamum, located in what is now Turkey, was once home to a treasure trove of some 200,000 scrolls. It was housed in a temple complex devoted to Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom, and is believed to have comprised 4 rooms, 3 of the library's contents and another that served as a meeting space for banquets and academic conference. According to the ancient consular Pliny the Elder, the Library of Pergamum eventually became so famous that it was considered to be in the king competition with the Library of Alexandria. Both sides sought to amass the most complete collections of texts, and they developed the rival schools of thought and criticism. There is even a legend that Egypt's Ptolemaic dynasty halted shipments of papyrus to Pergamum in the hope of slowing its growth. As a result, the city may have later become a leading production center for parchment paper. Number 4. The Villa of the Papyri. While it wasn't the largest library of antiquity, the so-called Villa of the Papyri is the only one whose collection has survived to the present day. Its roughly 1,800 scrolls were located in the Roman city of Herculaneum, in a villa that was most likely built by Julius Caesar's father-in-law, Lucius Calpurnius Piso Caesonius. When the nearby Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, the library was buried, the exquisitely preserved, under a 90-foot layer of volcanic material. Its blackened, carbonized scrolls weren't rediscovered until the 18th century, and modern researchers have since used everything from multispectral imaging to X-rays to try to read them. Much of the catalogue has yet to be deciphered, but studies have already revealed that the library contains several texts by an Epicurean philosopher and poet named Philodemus. Number 5. The Libraries of Trajan's Forum. Sometime around 112 AD, the Emperor Trajan completed construction on a sprawling, multi-use building complex in the heart of the city of Rome. This forum boasted plazas, markets, and religious temples, but it also included one of the Roman Empire's most famous libraries. The site was technically two separate structures, one for the works in Latin and one for the works in Greek. The rooms sat one opposite sides of a portico that housed Trajan's Column, a large monument built to honor the Imperial's military successes. Both sections were elegantly crafted from concrete, marble, and granite, and they included large central reading chambers and two levels of bookshelf-lined alcoves containing an estimated 20,000 scrolls. Historians are unsure of when Trajan's dual library ceased to exist, but it was still being mentioned in writing as late as the 5th century AD, which suggests that it stood for at least 300 years. Number 6. The Library of Telsus. There were over 24 major libraries in the city of Rome during the Imperial era, but the capital wasn't the only place that housed a dazzling collection of literature. Sometime around 120 AD, the son of the Roman consul Tiberius Julius Telsus Polyamenopos completed a memorial library to his father in the city of Ephesus, modern-day Turkey. The building's ornate facade still stands today and features a marble stairway and columns as well as 4 statues representing wisdom, virtue, intelligence, and knowledge. Its interior, meanwhile, consisted of a rectangular chamber and a series of small niches containing bookcases. The library may have held some 12,000 scrolls, but its most striking feature was not that Telsus himself, who was buried inside in an ornamental sarcophagus. Number 7. The Imperial Library of Constantinople. Long after the Western Roman Empire had gone into decline, classical Greek and Roman thought continued to flourish in the Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire. The city's imperial library first came into existence in the 4th century AD under Constantine the Great, but it remained relatively small until the 5th century, when its collection grew to a staggering 120,000 scrolls and codices. The size of an imperial library continued to wax and wane for the next several centuries due to neglect and frequent fires, and it later suffered a devastating blow after a Crusader army sacked Constantinople in 1204. Nevertheless, its scribes and scholars are now credited with preserving countless pieces of ancient Greek and Roman literature by making parchment copies of deteriorating papyrus scrolls. Number 8. The House of Wisdom. The Iraqi city of Baghdad was once one of the world's centers of learning and culture, and perhaps no institution was more integral to its development than the House of Wisdom. First established in the early 9th century AD during the reign of the Abbasids, the site was centered around an enormous library stocked with Persian, Indian and Greek manuscripts on the mathematics, astronomy, science, medicine, and philosophy. The books have served as a natural draw for the Middle East top scholars who flocked to serve as a natural draw for the Middle East top scholars who flocked to the House of Wisdom to study its texts and translate them into Arabic. The ranks included the mathematician Al-Khwarizmi, one of the fathers of algebra, as well as the Ptolemaic thinker Al-Kindi, often called the philosopher of the Arabs. The House of Wisdom stood as the Islamic world's intellectual nerve center for several hundred years, but it later met a grisly end in 1248, when the monologues sacked Baghdad. According to legend, so many books were tossed into a river Tigris that its waters turned black from ink.